It's Marjorie from the Red Resistance Podcast, and we're 1 week away from the premiere of Season 4 of Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. Scarlett, Roxy, and I are rapidly trying to make sure that we're ready. I just wanted to get on here and update everybody as to what you can expect from us when all 3 episodes drop on April 28th. First, where you can find them. We have a website now, theredresistancepodcast.com. It will have all the links to however you want to hear our episodes, whether it's YouTube, podcast, whatever you prefer. All of the links will be on our website. Now, our episode recaps are roughly 3 hours long, which is more like 5 hours unedited. We started splitting them up when we first started podcasting as a way to get the first half of the episode out while Scarlett was still editing the second half. We don't exactly have that problem this season, but it's a format that works for us, so we're sticking to a part 1 and part 2 for each episode. On April 28th, we will have all 3 episodes of our full audio podcast available on our Patreon for all Martha level subscribers. But more on our Patreon page later in this video. On April 29th, Season 4, Episode 1, Part 1 will be available wherever you get your podcasts. And again, you can listen directly on our website, theredresistancepodcast.com. On April 30th, Season 4, Episode 1, Part 1 will be available on YouTube. Now, I edit the YouTube videos and Scarlett edits the podcast, so there will be slight differences in the conversation. The biggest difference will be the what we're drinking portion. On YouTube, it'll be 2 separate videos. If you want to get straight into the analysis, watch the recap. If you want to know exactly what we're drinking and how it ties into the episode, then you can watch that video as well. I know we're reaching a lot of people for the first time. Let me give you a little recap as to who we are and how we got here. We started our podcast when Season 3 aired. We had very little idea what we were doing, but the idea of our podcast came because we're 3 restaurant workers who would get a drink after work, and this is what our conversation would sound like when we were watching Season 1 and Season 2. It wasn't as regimented or as researched, but Roxy and I were still disagreeing on how we saw Serena. Scarlett would always compare things that we saw on the show to real-life historical events. And we all saw parallels between the show and our present realities. So that's how this podcast is structured. It's 3 friends and huge fans of the show sitting down and taking a break from our lives to process this dark show together in order to better process the world that we live in. There was a huge learning curve for us in Season 3. It's all 3 of us in one room sitting around one mic and often laughing and talking on top of each other. We got better by the end of Season 3, but it's not perfect. Then we spent the off-season going back and recording Season 1 and Season 2, but through the lens of people who have watched all 3 seasons and read the Testaments. Oh, the Testaments. We also have a book club series on the Handmaid's Tale sequel, The Testaments. We're huge fans of the show and the book, and of course we were going to read it. Once you read it, you're not going to be able to see the show the same way. If you don't want to know what's in the Testaments, we are not the recap for you. We cannot separate this material in our minds. As far as I know, the show's creators have not explicitly said when The Handmaid's Tale will end or how much, if any, of the Testaments will be included. All we know is that they have the rights to it, and it may or may not be its own separate series. Regardless, the story told in the Testaments makes for some really compelling conversations, and we're excited for any breadcrumbs that Season 4 may contain. So we did the rewatch, and COVID happened. And so we had new problems, and we found new solutions. It was a huge learning curve, but back in March of 2020, the remote recording software available to us, it just wasn't that great. Our internet connections were terrible. My computer was old and slow. It was not ideal conditions for recording a podcast. Then Riverside.fm came into our lives right before the announcement of the Season 4 premiere date. And it was perfect timing. This is not a paid promotion, just a real, honest review that explains how we got onto YouTube. Once we switched platforms, we had video, and it wasn't terrible quality or riddled with delays, so we decided we were going to do a trailer breakdown live on Facebook. And we just couldn't figure out the live component, so we recorded it. I did a really rough edit, and I tried to post it on Facebook, but it kept saying that the file was too large. So I thought if I could upload it to YouTube, I could just share the link on Facebook, and the handful of people that were waiting to see our trailer breakdown could finally do so. This is how we got a YouTube page. It was sort of an accident. But holy shit, all sorts of people who had never heard of us before started viewing that terribly edited trailer breakdown, in which I had no idea what I was doing, and there's definitely no stills in that one. Forgot the stills on the other video, and that was just me not knowing what I'm doing. So with that, I was learning a new platform. And while I now have figured out that I should edit our audio tracks separately first, and I've learned how to create a thumbnail, and I've even already learned that once you upload the wrong video, if you delete it, you have to delete it forever. There's no way to fix uploading the wrong video other than to just upload the right video. It's my bad. So there's a big learning curve for me with YouTube, and here's the thing. I don't have the time or capacity to learn any more video editing this season. So this is what you get. I am very aware that having video and audio from the actual episode would make our recaps way better. I don't have time to learn how to do it, let alone how to implement it once I do learn. So, what you see right now is what you're going to get from us as far as YouTube. I'm sorry. We are 3 people with jobs that have nothing to do with The Handmaid's Tale, podcasting, or YouTube. This is purely something we do because we love it. And this journey has brought us on a ride that we were not expecting at all. And we're so excited to see where this takes us on season 4. But Scarlett and I are moms, and all 3 of us have families and loved ones that depend on us. We just don't have the time or resources to do more than what we're doing right now. For one recap, we each watch the episode multiple times, we research, we record, and we edit. The hours that takes stretches quite honestly past our limit. We're just trying to stay afloat. There will very likely be something that will get in the way, like life or technology. But we're going to be working very hard to stick to our schedule for the next 10 weeks. But I'll apologize in advance for any issues we face. Our biggest one is we work opposite hours right now. The nights we record, Roxy loses a night of sleep. There's no way around it. So we're already working on a schedule that does not allow for deviation, and life has a way of forcing us to deviate. So just know that we are doing our best to get our thoughts into your ears. It is going to look exactly like this if you watch on YouTube. No frills. If you are interested in that, Steve Varley does a great Handmaid's Tale recap that you will love. I don't know how to do that right now. One final thought before I explain how our Patreon works. We are not for everybody, and that is okay with us. We swear throughout our recaps. My mother hates it. We are all professionals who are entirely capable of filtering our speech. But this podcast is the time in our life that we can put aside that filter and just speak the way that we would like to speak. We swear, and if that bothers you, I completely understand. My mother tells me every chance she gets that she hates it. But you don't have to listen. My own mother won't, and she loves and supports the shit out of me with this podcast. She just doesn't care to listen to it, and that's okay. We are just not going to be the Handmaid's Tale recap for you. We don't have any sponsors telling us not to, and we're not even monetizing on YouTube yet, so we are enjoying being able to speak as we please. Which brings me to my final point of this video. The only way that we are getting paid is through Patreon. So if you like what you're listening to and you would like to support the show, please go to patreon.com/theredresistance. Again, you can find the link on our website, theredresistancepodcast.com. The way Patreon works is there are different tiers, and naturally, we tie everything into the Handmaid's Tale, so of course our tiers are Handmaids related. Martha's get the episodes early, so if you're interested in getting the episode 24 hours before it is available anywhere else, then you will want to be at the Martha level of $10 a month. Because Econo-wives, handmaids, Marthas, wives, aunts. Our episodes are about 5 hours before we edit it down to about 3 hours, so on Patreon you will find all of our cut content. So we go on tangents that sometimes just don't get to make it into the episode. We certainly have bloopers. You get to see a little bit more of the behind-the-scenes stuff of the issues that we have from week to week, trying to get these episodes out, and all the different things that we do behind the scenes. Oh, we will also have afterthoughts on Patreon. A lot of times after we finish recording, we come up with different things that we either wish we had said differently, we have addendums to thoughts that we had, or we forgot to talk about something entirely. So afterthoughts will be on Patreon. Also, all the Hulu extras, the inside the episodes that they'll have on their website, we will talk about those as bonus episodes. And any questions, once a week we will be answering fans' questions for whatever comes through on social media, emails, wherever. So if you want us to address something, shoot us a line, and we will be doing a bonus Q&A roundtable on Patreon. So more on the Patreon later. Check out the website. It is fully explained if you go to patreon.com/theredresistance, or you can find all of our links to everything we do at theredresistancepodcast.com. We will see you right back here on April 30th for our premiere of our first episode recap of season 4. See you then.